Hello, everybody. My name is Massimo Bombino. I am the founder of Software Sicuro, safer software in English. And our task is to help companies to develop better embedded software, more reliable and more safe. Tonight in Italy and today for our special guest Vance, we will interview Vance, and my colleague Anna Chiara will ask some questions to Vance, and also I will try to tell also my point of view from the Italian market. And so please, Anna, if you want to start to introduce yourself.
Hi, I'm Anna Chiara. I've been working for Safer Software for about 1 year. We talked about reliable and certified software with Vance Hilderman, especially considering the critical international moment due to the global pandemic virus. Good morning, Vance. It's morning for you, right? How are you? From where are you connected?
Good morning and good evening in Italy. Oh, I'm in Arizona today. I changed between my Los Angeles and Arizona office for AFuzion. With COVID, as we know, we're not traveling to Italy, but it gives us a little more flexibility to work remotely. So it's actually an advantage. For example, teaching this remote masterclass is going to be terrific in Italian and English. I'll be doing my section in English, so I'm looking forward to it very much.
And you like to come in Italy whenever you want.
Oh, I do, but I've only been to Italy 100 times. It's not enough, you know. I'm looking forward to the second 100 times starting next year again.
What do you like of Italy, especially?
Everything's good. My first time to Italy, I had long hair and earring, and I was 21 years old with a bicycle, traveling 4,000 kilometers all through the country, trying to gain a couple kilos, but also gain a little insight that Italy has been a world leader in so many things, and it's such a unique country that it's really a wonderful pleasure to work with and visit the Italians, of course, all the time. The food in cappuccino, you know, we say the worst coffee in Italy is better than the best coffee in America, and that is true. But we'll talk about the software and how we can make that even a little better worldwide as well.
Fine, cool. Okay, let's start with our interview. I'd like to ask you some questions for our audience composed by Italian and international companies struggling to be competitive nowadays. Tell us about incredible experience in critical software, Vance. And Max, do you have something to say? What's your experience?
Oh, thank you, Anna. Maybe the incredible is that it's lasting so many years, right? I wanted to be a pilot many years ago, not just an average pilot. I'm the same age as Top Gun, you know, Tom Cruise. So now you know I wanted to be a fighter pilot, really. And so I'm not as good looking as Tom Cruise, but I'm a better pilot. Unfortunately, he has beautiful eyes and my eyes weren't perfect. So I couldn't be the fighter pilot. They said I could be the navigator. I don't want to be the navigator. I want to be the guy in the front. So I could not, but I am a pilot, not a very good pilot, but my airplane always safely lands. So instead, I devoted my career the last few decades into making safety critical software initially. And I founded a company that became the world's largest avionics software consulting and certification company. And I sold that after I had 150 employees. I like to do the work instead of manage it, you know. But today, AFuzion has about 45 engineers. We work all over the world, but these days that means Zoom, Microsoft Teams remotely, you know. And I think we've worked on 90% of the world's aviation projects. Originally, it was civil aviation, but there's so much overlap with aerospace, ground systems, UAV, urban air mobility. And Italy is involved in all of these things. Europe has a very high rigor, a high standard for safety. And so that whole focus, using several of my college degrees, and all of my employees are smarter than me anyway. And so we work on aviation systems all throughout the world that are very unique, that require a lot of experience and knowledge to make them successful. So it's been a terrific career, but I'll never retire.
My point of view, let me add, I have a shorter experience, but even if I started very young to do programming, I had my first computer when I was 12 years old, and I started programming since then, and I continue. But my professional life changed when I met Vance in in some of the previous company I worked on, and I was fascinated by his experience, and I decided I want to be Vance when I will be older, when I will be. I want to be Vance. So you are really my teacher, my guru, and I really have to thank you about.
It's always a pleasure to work with you, Matt.
About many things you taught to me, and really thanks.
Oh, and you've taught me as well so much. And it's interesting. Learning is not simply a bucket that you fill up. It's a swimming pool, an ocean that's continually growing. And people are smarter today. Today, Max, you learned to program at age 12. Now we have toddlers, 2 or 3 years old, that are learning HTML, you know. But the universe is getting much more complex. So how to capture that knowledge and make it useful to help traditional companies become more adept, how to be faster than your competitors. Anybody can do this with enough time and money, but there's never enough time or money. So what we need to learn is how to do it faster and better than your competitors. And that's what we're going to focus on in these master classes.
Okay, Vance. What are the hardest challenges for companies operating in current critical markets and time?
Oh, that's a great question. Companies typically have great expertise in 1 or 2 areas. That's why they're a company. They've succeeded for several years, so they've proven that. But companies are like trees. Look around me. I'm surrounded by trees. Are these trees growing? Absolutely. What do you call a tree that isn't growing? Dead. Okay? So companies need to grow, change, and evolve just like these trees. They need to change direction, be flexible in the wind. The big challenge is understanding how to create more complex systems, but more cost effectively. For example, how many people are really making all new systems, all new software? Very few. You're evolving something that previously existed, right? That's technological improvement. So how do we reuse software? How do we recertify? How do we redeploy and make this cost effective? And those are the real challenges, is learning the new standards. And these standards that we have, ISO 26262 for cars, largely copied from DO 178, CMMI, IEC. All of these standards have much in common, but they're evolving. It's not static. And so to learn not just what's required today, but what the direction, how the evolution will take place, because next year, 2021, we'll actually have a presidential decision in the US, right? Today, we don't know who's the president, but we know the future will, and that future is going to come. We cannot stop the future. The only question is, how should we best prepare for the future based on the direction of technology and standardization change? So if we understand what's really important, how it's changed, I think we can predict the future. So part of our education at the master's classes is going to be telling people what's going to change in the future for technology, software, systems, tools, the expectations of certification, because it's rapidly evolving. 5 years ago, we did not even talk about flying cars outside of science fiction. They would laugh at you. Today, the prototypes are flying. I promise you, they're coming, okay? The only question is, will you be ready?
Definitely. And Max, what is the current situation in Italy? Do you see any particular challenges in our market?
Yes, let me say Italy is always slower than the US. So we arrive a few years later, but we are more famous for food. We are more famous for art. We are more famous for fashion, not as software developers, critical software and embedded development, But the reality is we have very good companies in Italy. We have Leonardo company that is very big and very competitive in the international market, and many other companies, not only in aerospace and defense, also automotive. We have big brands like Ferrari, Lamborghini, Maserati. Maybe they are not Italian now, but they were in the past, etc. And the concept is the software now is everywhere. It's really in every single object we use in our life. From the car, and it's now very common to have infotainment in the car, but also in the thermostat when you want to program the air conditioning, and any object you are using in your life. So there is a big market for embedded software, and Italy is responding quite well, even if there is the difficulty of the transition, as I say, from electromechanical company to software company. The idea to internalize, to make internal the software development, instead of asking an external software company to develop software, they are making internal. And this is a big transition, is a big cultural change. And what many of my customers are asking me is to help them in the cultural transition in their own company, because they know what to do, and they know very well, also thanks also to my training, my masterclass, etc. Now they say, now please help me to convince my managers, to convince the founder of the company that software is so different respected to any other engineering activity. So this is the big challenge.
That's a very good point, Anna and Massimo. Everyone knows that Italy has great food. Anna and Max, you're perfectly familiar with that. And you all know that your mother, aunt, grandma makes great food. Well, does she use a recipe? Well, she does not use a recipe, but she knows the recipe.
Yes.
It doesn't mean there's not a recipe. Safety critical software is the same way. There is a recipe, it's just not written down. We're going to teach you during these classes, what is Grandpa Massimo, Grandpa Vance, what are our recipes for our software cooking to make the best Italian software food in the world. So that's our plan.
Okay, Vance, what do you think about the transition from steel to bit, from electromechanical companies excelling their own domains until yesterday, but today painfully transitioning to embedded software companies without any appropriated background and culture?
Oh, that's a fantastic question. And it's so important. Those companies showed great skill at previous hardware development, and that's good. It means they appreciate skill, talent, intellectual property. Well, software is related, but it's different. It's a different set of skills, but it's a similar process. And so a company needs to recognize that they need to learn new techniques. They can learn new techniques. It's like a really good athlete. You have some athletes that can play football, basketball, baseball, whatever it is. A great athlete can move. They understand training, coaching, skill. So those companies have the basic athletic skill already with their steel, their hardware. And what are the new techniques for software? Absolutely. They'll need to learn new tools, some new techniques, but then apply the same process of refinement and improvement. They did not reinvent hardware every time from steel to bit. They evolved and perfected their domain knowledge. And that's what we need to do in modern safety critical, modern high reliability, complex systems. You know, even this Apple cell phone, this small thing, has more processing power than the entire NASA space program 50 years ago. Okay, here. Is this safety critical? Is it high? Oh, yes. Hello, fire department. There's a fire. Help, I can't breathe. Everything is safety critical. We need reliability in everything. If you wake up in the morning and your cappuccino tastes bad, that is safety critical. So even the cappuccino software needs to be high quality. That's what we need to learn.
Yeah. And Max, what do you think about?
Yes, it's a big transition. I like this definition. from steel to bit, because it expresses exactly what is going on inside many companies. Because you mentioned the Apple or the Samsung or Android phone, the computing power, but we should think also about the man weeks or the man years behind a single application. If you think about the history of the humankind, and if you think a big achievement, I don't know, the Divina Commedia of Dante Alighieri, or if you think about the Cappella Sistina, okay, maybe they took 10 years, maybe 20 years, I don't know, 30 years. But a current app in your phone, maybe it took 50 man years, 100 man years, any single application. So inside your phone, you have a lot of computational power, but also a lot of man years of experience. And this is why it's so complicated to make a good software, because it's not only a question of beauty, of the beauty of the Cappella Sistina or the Divina Commedia. The app should also work, should be safe, should be reliable, should not crash, should not create issues to your customers. And that's why it's so complicated to make good software. And that's why the companies are struggling to create the culture, not only the technical, because the technical stuff you know very well. In this masterclass, for example, we will teach about everything about the technical aspects. But then when you are totally aware of what you need to do, then you have to convince your managers, your colleagues, and also your the people working for you. Because maybe if you are convinced, but your team is not following you, it's another big problem. Because you think you are going to do well, but nobody will follow you. So this is a very complicated transition, a cultural problem, a cultural transition.
Okay, Vance, in your opinion, how can certification help companies to deliver better embedded products and access broader markets?
Ooh, that's an interesting question. How could certification improve product, but also even for companies that don't require it? It's very interesting. Certification is mandatory if there's a safety impact. For example, the building you live in, if it's a tall building, you want to make sure that it will survive an earthquake, a storm, you know. If it's a shed in your backyard, it's not so important. But it's interesting. Knowing that your software is high quality ensures that it had good requirements. It was well tested. So safety critical software has multiple categories. There's no one single recipe that makes safety critical software.
Mm-hmm.
Let me ask you, which is more important, the requirements, the design, or the software code? Well, they're all important.
Yes.
Safety critical software is right.
Yes.
Yeah. Safety critical software is only as good as its weakest link. So it's like a chain. So we need to learn how to make all aspects of the chain, the assessment, the requirements, design, code, integration, implementation, configuration management, quality assurance, all of those things. Well, if your software isn't certified, how do you really know what's inside? Did you pour the building foundation with some shortcuts without steel in the ground? Who checked it? So certification doesn't guarantee perfection. Remember, the probability of software failure is always 1. Even Hello World can fail. The question is, what happens when it fails? How can we prove that we had good processes, that we followed those processes, and that future people can make changes? So the real key with safety critical is that we can ensure that future changes, because if your software is successful, it will change. If it never changes, that means your software is dead, no longer used. So you have new products, new configurations. That means changes by people who are different. Safety critical guarantees that you've got a framework, a process, documentation, knowledge of what's really inside, that the future people making the changes, making the improvements, can do it well, and that you can do it cost effectively. So that's what we're going to teach you.
Okay, Vance, I understood. And Max, Would you like to say something?
Yes. Also, what also I try to teach to my audience, to my customers, is the importance of the not only the safety critical but the business critical, because when you don't have to certify, as you said, Vance, you have also a lot of criticalities. For example, I also tell about a couple of examples. One is Nike Corporation, a company in the New York City, selling software for trade markets, for stocks, and they had a bug, a single bug in one of 8 computers, in one of 8 servers. They lost $500 million for 500 millions in 34 minutes. So they lost an incredible amount of money due to a single bug in one of 8 computers. This was just a software bug, okay? And
Wow.
$500 million, 500 millions in half an hour. And also another example is a company doing professional white goods, so washing machine, dryers, microwaves, etc. They had a bug in one of the live update during the night via Bluetooth or Wi-Fi update, and 2/3 of several tens of thousands goods were totally unusable. They're totally bricked. So it was also a huge loss of money, a big problem for the brand, because everybody in the market, in the social media, etc., were talking about the problems, the software issues, etc. So it was a very, very big impact for the brand. Not only money, but also brand awareness that had a very a very huge impact. So also business critical is very important.
Vance, would you like to say a few words about how this masterclass could help those companies to face the challenges of the embedded software development in the current situation to deliver better, more stable products?
I would love to offer a couple opinions on that. Indeed, you know, learning is the best tool to expand and succeed. And even the very best company keeps all of its employees busy, but it's in a silo. The only way to learn is to leave the silo, to expand the knowledge. And so even the best companies need training. If you're not the very best company, then you need much training. If you're already the very best company, you just need our training. We'll see you there.
Thank you, Vance. Max, could you explain how to get access to our masterclass?
Yes, I always like to tell about Michael Jordan sentence about failing. And there is a very famous quote of him saying, "I failed on the 12 finals. I failed a lot of 3 points shots. I failed many times in my life. That's why I became the greater player in basket." Okay, this is what we want to do in this masterclass. We want to teach about our errors, about our mistakes, about our experience, about the tips and tricks, the best practice, the lesson learned. And we created these 12 lessons, ranging from the starting concept of C and C++ programming, and then going to vulnerabilities of object-oriented and those languages, modeling, simulation, requirements, design, architecture, real-time operating system, microprocessors. So everything related to embedded software development for critical markets, for business critical and for safety critical markets. In the 12 lessons, online lessons, webinars, so it will be very easy to follow wherever you are. This year it will be in Italian. It already started, but you can join at any time. And next year with Vance, we are already planning to do an international version, everything in English, from the slides to the webinars, etc., to reach a broader audience.
Fantastic. I look forward to seeing everyone.
Fine. Vance, do you have anything else to add?
No, except you can believe what you read when you see our training materials. Other things, I'm not sure what to believe, but for the masterclass, yeah, we'll have very clear results on this election. We hope you elect to attend the masterclass.
Okay, so now you can see on your screen there are information about how to access this masterclass, and so you can just follow the instruction and contact us on our website or on email or on the phone that is provided. And if you have anything to ask, just please contact us. Thank you, Vance, a lot for your time and your availability. And thank you, Anna.
Thank you. It was a pleasure, guys.
Thank you, Anna. Thanks, Max.
Okay, thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.